What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode as what I'd like to call Thoughts and Divine Wisdom. Okay. I said to myself I was going to try to be more consistent and do these videos. If you're willing to hear these videos and you're willing to listen, then I'd be more than happy to do more videos. Okay, so but today this evening I'm going to talk about the void. Okay, now some people ask, what is the void? What are you talking about? What's the void? Okay, the void, well, the void is this thing when you get to a certain point in your life and you've experienced some things, and it gets to a point in your life where your heart feels empty. It just feels dark and decrepit and empty, and you don't understand why it's feeling that way. And the only way that you can get to that point is going through life. Now, when you're dealing with the void, to a younger person, they may not understand because they still experiencing the life from a standpoint of getting to know what things are. So they're not there just yet when it comes to the void. Now, when you start getting into your mid-20s, going into your 30s, that feeling starts etching in. By this time, you've been to many parties, you've talked to many people, dated, you've done so much, went out, probably went a couple of places with friends, done a lot of things, shop, all these different things, right? Well, it gets to a point where those things that you experience, you start realizing that it doesn't give you the happiness that you're looking for. And so what most people do is, instead of them looking within to figure out what is going on, what they end up doing is they end up, going back into the world and trying to do the same thing that they were doing before to cover the void. Okay? And so what you have is most people, they go out shopping, they do the same things. They go buying shoes, clothes, watches, all kind of material things, and they try to put it into the void because at that time, temporarily, it makes a person happy. And what people realize, or what people eventually realize when they do that, is after they buy that thing, yeah, it'll make them happy for a week or two, maybe even a month. But once the newness of that thing dies and it's not new anymore, then that feeling in the void starts to come back. And what happens is they have to buy something else to place in the void that's going to give them happiness. And they continuously do this throughout time. 1 minute it's a purse. The next minute is some shoes. The next minute is a watch. The next minute is some Jordans. The next minute, and at some point in time, you ask yourself, why aren't these things making me happy? And when you get to that point of asking that question, then the spirit starts perking his ears up like, now you're asking the right question. And so, what is the spirit from the standpoint once you start asking questions on what it is? Okay, the void can't be filled up by the world or material possessions or a job or status or any of those things, because those things of the world are only temporary, and it's not going to fill up that emptiness that you have inside. So what can fill up the void, if you're asking? The thing that can fill up the void is only the spirit. That place that's empty, the reason why it's feeling the way that it's feeling is simply because that place is a place of dwelling of the spirit. And can't no material possessions, can't no status, money, nothing fill that void up. I think the Bible said once, the Bible said that for the spirit is the temple of God. And that's where he dwells from one end to the next. So that place that you are trying to put material possessions in is his dwelling place. And what he is showing you is when you are empty, or when the divided spirit is showing you is when you are empty, can't nothing fill that up but the spirit, but righteousness. And this is what that place is meant for. Let me say this right here. See, it's just like what Christ said when he talked about the everlasting waters. When the Samaritan was getting water, and he was like, that water's basically good, but the waters I have is everlasting. And this is what the Bible, the specialness of the Bible is all about. See, when a person reads the Bible, if you just read the Bible just by reading the Bible, it's just a book. It don't affect anything. It's just words. And this is what certain people do. They read the Bible and say, well, I read the whole Bible. But it doesn't affect anything when you read that way. If it's just like a book. If you just read the Bible just like a book, you won't get anything out of it. Now, the reason why I said the book has special meaning is go to the book when you are vexed, when you are hurt, when you are confused, when you are struggling. When you open up the book at that time, every word hits. Every word hits. It's like talking to your soul. That's what makes the Bible special. That's why you hear some people say the Bible's not just a book. That's the reason why you hear that. Is because when you are in need and you're longing and you're hurt, you're confused, you're at the lowest point of your life, when you open up that book at any page, start reading, every word, wherever you're reading, is going to hit. And it's gonna feel like it's talking to your soul. And see, this is what people don't realize, especially the younger people, because they still in the world. They don't realize the divine attribute of this book, of the Bible. And so they don't understand what the power that it brings. So what ends up happening is they look at it as a book, not realizing the book is deeper than just a book. There's something mystical about the book. The book is about the daily walks of life. And if you're on the first step or the first phase of your journey, that's one of the books you definitely need to read. Real talk. That's one of the books you definitely need to read. So, like I said, like I was saying, the void can only get filled up by the everlasting waters, by the Spirit. And this is what fills up the void. That's what filled up the void. Okay? So when it comes down to it and everything, when it comes down to it, the void is a special place made for God to dwell, or for the higher divine consciousness to dwell, or the divine spirit to dwell. That's what it's made for. When you are in the world, rock and rolling your soul, and doing all the worldly things that you do on a daily basis, none of that benefits to the void at all. So what happens is the void starts to get dry, and the void becomes bleak, and the void becomes dark. And what happens is it gives you the feeling of emptiness. That's what it does. So, recapping, the only thing that can fill up the void is the divine spirit, or the source, or the everlasting waters, which is the Bible. That's the only thing that can fill it up. Now, I've expanded in my journey, and I've read, I've read on Buddhism, and those also apply too, because they actually fill up the void as well. Because the books, all of the righteous or the spiritual books, all lead to the same place, which is salvation and righteousness. And that is what you can fill the void up with. That is what the void needs to be filled up by, is that. And until you realize that that void is always going to be there, until you turn around and start looking within, and start looking at righteousness and looking within, that void will always be there. And we've seen it time and time again. People depressed, can't figure out what happiness is, can't figure out what the meaning of life is, can't figure out anything, because that place, that dwelling place, is empty. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm here to shed light on what it is. I'm here to shed the light for the people that's lost. These steps that I am telling you in all these videos is leading you to one way, And what is that way? That way is looking within to start the journey. I know a lot of people fight, cuss, and everything else to try to stay away from doing it. Well, if you have every right to choose whatever you want to choose. Okay? You have every right to choose what you want to choose. But the question then becomes, how is that working out for you? How is it working out for you? Is it working? Because what I'm seeing, it's not. It's not working out. So, like I said, look, man, I'm not here to stronghold nobody. I'm not here to force anybody to do anything. But if your spirit, if your heart is in the right place and you are willing to listen to the understanding, these words, in fact, all the videos that I do, is going to show you the way. All of them. And yeah, I ain't, I have my flaws in my past too. There's bones in my closet. Things I did back in the day, and some. But guess what? I was willing to look within and to acknowledge my life and who I am. And you can do the same thing too. It's not just a me only thing. No, this is a path that each man, woman, and child eventually can take. Now, for the record, I don't want y'all to think that I'm trying to sound like no preacher or nothing, because I sure ain't no preacher. I ain't no preacher. I leave that up to the evangelists and all them people that's doing that. But if you don't want to go that way, which society is showing they are tired of that way, then maybe going this way that I'm showing might be the best way. It might be the best way to go. Yeah, it might be rough at the beginning, but as you keep moving down that path, and as you keep moving and understanding yourself, and understanding who you are, and understanding things like the void, the light at the end of the tunnel is a blessing. The light that you run into at the end is going to give you everything that you've been looking for, man. Everything. So, I'm going to wrap this up. This is another video done on the books. Okay? I'm going to wrap this up. If you enjoyed the video, I need to start saying this. Start liking, subscribe, and sharing the videos if you can. And if you have any questions, or if you have a problem that you want to talk about and me speaking the solution, please don't hesitate to send your question or problem at thoughts and spelled out divine wisdom at gmail.com. So that's thoughts and divine wisdom at gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. And until then, you stay blessed, and I will try to answer the emails promptly and everything, and we'll go from there. Until then, talk to you later. Stay blessed. All right.